Emily always believed that every morning brought new chances. Even on days when she was exhausted from her late-night college homework and the never-ending chores at home. She worked at a small cafe on Main Street, the kind of place with foggy windows in the winter and the smell of warm bread in the air. The regulars liked their coffee hot and their news gentle, and Emily liked to think she added a little bit of sunshine to their days. On this particular rainy morning, the town felt sleepy and a little cold. Emily wrapped her apron around her waist and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, glancing around the cafe to see who needed coffee, who wanted a smile, and who was just hoping to stay dry for a while. The bell above the door jingled softly, and she looked up to see a man and a little girl walk in. The man looked like he hadn't slept well in days. His dark hair was messy, his jacket was expensive but wrinkled, and his shoes were damp from the puddles outside. The girl, maybe 6 or 7, clung to his hand and looked around with wide, searching eyes. She had a pink backpack shaped like a bunny in a raincoat that was a little too big for her small frame. They chose a corner table by the window. The man glanced at his phone, frowning as he scrolled through messages, while the girl watched the raindrops race each other down the glass. Emily could tell right away that they weren't regulars. Most people in town recognized her, but this pair looked like they'd just landed from a different world. She picked up her notepad, smoothed her hair, and walked over with her warmest smile. "Good morning. I'm Emily. Welcome to the Sunbeam Cafe. Can I get you something warm to start?" she asked, bending a little so she was eye level with the girl. The man looked up, eyes tired but grateful. "Aye," he said quietly, glancing at the menu like it was written in another language. "We're, actually not from here. I'm Tom, and this is Lily. Could you recommend something?" "Lily has some food allergies, and I'm not sure what's safe." Emily's heart melted a little. She remembered being Lily's age, worrying about every bite she took because her mom had a long list of allergies too. "No problem," she said gently. "What allergies should I be careful about?" Tom handed her a card listing all of Lily's allergies, and Emily read it carefully, nodding. She knelt next to Lily. "I'll make sure you get something yummy and safe. Do you like pancakes or oatmeal?" Lily smiled, shy but curious. "Pancakes, please. With strawberries, if that's okay." Emily wrote it down. "You got it." "For you, sir?" Tom hesitated, scanning the menu again. "Just coffee for now. Black, please. And maybe some toast." Emily gave them a reassuring nod and hurried to the kitchen. She explained the allergies to the cook, double-checked the ingredients, even cleaned a pan herself to make sure nothing would make Lily sick. She popped back to the table a few minutes later with crayons and a coloring book she kept behind the counter for kids. "Here you go, Lily," she said, handing over the coloring book. "You can keep it if you like." Lily's eyes brightened, and she started coloring a page with a big sun and flowers. While she waited for their food, Emily glanced around the cafe. It was busier than usual for a weekday morning. Some of the regulars wanted extra attention, and the new girl on staff was struggling with the coffee machine. But Emily kept one eye on Tom and Lily's table. She noticed Tom checking his phone over and over, sometimes typing messages quickly, sometimes just staring at the screen. He seemed worried, not just tired. Emily returned to their table with Lily's pancakes and Tom's coffee. "Here you go. The pancakes are safe for you, Lily, and I made sure there's no butter or nuts. And here's your coffee, sir. Can I get you anything else?" Tom looked up, relief in his eyes. "Thank you so much, Emily. I really appreciate you taking care with the food. It's always a challenge when we're away from home." Emily smiled and poured some syrup for Lily. "No problem. My mom has a lot of allergies, so I know how scary it can be. You're safe here." Lily grinned and dug into her pancakes, while Tom finally relaxed a little, sipping his coffee. For a few minutes, things felt almost normal. Emily left them to eat, but kept checking back, always just in time to refill Tom's coffee or bring more napkins for Lily's sticky hands. A few tables over, the cafe manager called Emily over and asked her to help with a difficult customer. She handled it quickly, apologizing and offering a free muffin. She always did her best to make sure people left happy, no matter how tired she felt. When she returned to Tom and Lily's table, She noticed Tom studying a paper map, frowning. "Are you lost?" she asked, keeping her voice gentle. Tom smiled, a little embarrassed. "Actually, yes. I need to get to the children's hospital, but my GPS isn't working right now, and I'm not sure where to park." Emily pulled out her phone and showed him the easiest route, even writing down directions on a napkin. She explained where to park and which entrance to use. "It's not far from here. If you leave now, you'll get there before the lunch crowd." Tom looked relieved. "Thank you, Emily. You've been more helpful than you know." Lily finished her pancakes and drew a little picture of the cafe, handing it to Emily as a, "Thank you, you're nice," Lily said quietly. Emily smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest she couldn't explain. Before Tom left, he hesitated, reaching into his pocket for his wallet. Emily saw him fumble with a thick stack of bills, but he quickly pulled out just enough for the meal, plus a few extra dollars for a tip. She noticed his hands shook a little as he signed the receipt. Emily walked them to the door, holding it, open as the rain poured down outside. "Take care, you too. Good luck at the hospital, Lily." Tom gave her a grateful look. "Thank you again, Emily. I don't know what we would have done without your help today." As they disappeared into the gray morning, Emily watched for a moment, wishing them well. She didn't know their full story, but she felt sure her small kindness had made their difficult day a little brighter. She turned back to her busy cafe, her heart lighter, never guessing that this simple, rainy morning would change her life forever. After Tom and Lily left the Sunbeam Cafe, Emily's mind kept wandering back to them, even as she hurried through the rest of her shift. She saw so many faces each day, but something about the tired father and his gentle little daughter stuck. With her, maybe it was how lost Tom looked, or the way Lily had clung to her hand when they said goodbye. Maybe it was just that feeling sometimes you help someone, and you hope it made a real difference. The lunch crowd soon filled the cafe with laughter, chatter, and the clatter of dishes. Emily worked as quickly as she could, but she was always careful to smile and speak kindly to everyone. She never wanted anyone to feel invisible, especially on days when they might be hurting inside. She glanced at the table where Tom and Lily had sat. Lily's crayon drawing of the cafe, with big sunny windows and a smiling stick figure waitress, still sat beside the empty syrup bottle. Emily smiled and tucked it safely into her apron pocket. She decided she would keep it just a small reminder that a little kindness could make a child's day brighter. Later, as the crowd thinned, Emily took a short break by the window with a cup of tea. She watched the rain splatter against the glass and thought about how hard it must be for a single dad, especially if his child was sick. Her own father had left when she was very young, and her mom had raised her and her brother by herself. Emily knew what it was like to see worry in a parent's eyes, to feel the weight of problems you couldn't fix. Suddenly, she remembered how Lily had mentioned missing her mother. The little girl had said it quietly, almost like a secret, when Tom was distracted with his phone. "I wish Mommy was here," Lily had whispered, her fingers twisting in her bunny backpack. Emily had bent down and squeezed her hand, offering a gentle smile. "Sometimes I miss people too," she had whispered back. It was a small moment, but Emily hoped it helped Lily feel less alone. The cafe's other waitresses hurried from table to table, some moving quickly, others with barely disguised impatience. Emily noticed that one customer seemed a bit frustrated. After waiting too long for his order, she jumped in, offered a quick apology, and made sure he got a sandwich with an extra cookie on the side. The man's mood changed right away. "Thank you, young lady," he said. "You're the only one who seems to care." Emily just smiled and went back to work. She knew sometimes people just needed to feel seen. When Emily brought the last lunch order to the kitchen, she noticed a commotion by the counter. The new staff member had accidentally spilled a tray of drinks, and some regular customers were shaking their heads. Emily grabbed a towel and quietly helped clean up, telling the new girl not to worry. Everyone made mistakes on their first week. All through the afternoon, Emily's mind returned to Tom. She remembered how he had kept glancing at his phone, his face creased with worry. Once, when he thought she wasn't looking, she'd seen him close his eyes and rub his temples, like the weight of the world was on his shoulders. She guessed he had a very important job, or maybe something serious going on at home. She never thought for a moment that he could be famous or wealthy. To her, He just looked like a tired dad doing his best. A couple of hours later, as Emily cleaned a table near the window, she heard the bell over the door ring again. A woman rushed in, her umbrella dripping rainwater everywhere, looking for her lost scarf. Emily greeted her and helped search until they found it beneath a chair. The woman was so grateful. She promised to return for coffee soon. Little things like that made Emily's job feel worthwhile. In a quiet moment, Emily looked through the window and saw a small family hurrying through the rain, a father with 2 children and a dog. The sight made her think of Tom and Lily again. She wondered if they had reached the hospital and if Lily was feeling okay. She hoped Tom found the right entrance and that the nurses were kind to them. The afternoon dragged on. The cafe emptied as the rain grew heavier. Emily's shoes were damp and her feet ached, but she didn't mind. She thought about her own family, her mother working double shifts at the grocery store, and her younger brother at home, probably playing video games when he was supposed to be doing homework. She wished she could give her mom a break, but money was always tight. Later, just before the dinner rush, Emily heard the other waitresses gossiping by the coffee machine. "Did you see that man with the little girl this morning?" "Damast. He left a huge tip. Must be rich," another replied. Emily just smiled and kept cleaning. She didn't tell anyone that she'd helped him find the hospital or that he'd seemed so lost. The tip wasn't what she remembered most. It was Lily's drawing and that moment of real connection. A short while later, Emily took a call from her mother, who asked if she could pick up some groceries on the way home. Emily promised she would. Her mom sounded tired, but always tried to sound cheerful for Emily's sake. As the sun started to set and the last few customers trickled in, Emily took a moment to check her phone. She opened the town's community news page and saw a headline about a well-known business leader visiting the local children's hospital. There was a blurry photo of Tom and Lily outside the hospital doors. Emily's eyes widened. The article talked about Tom's charity work and how he was raising money for sick children. It said he was a CEO of a big company and had donated a large sum to the hospital that morning. Emily felt a shock of surprise. She never imagined that the tired, worried dad in her cafe was actually someone so important. She reread the article, thinking about how Tom never mentioned who he was, how he treated her kindly, just like any other customer. Emily didn't tell anyone at the cafe about what she read. She wanted to keep Tom's visit special, a quiet secret between her, Tom, and Lily. To her, Tom was still just a father who needed directions and a friendly face on a difficult morning. That evening, as Emily was about to leave, her manager called her over. "Emily, you really went the extra mile with that family this morning. The man left a tip that's bigger than most people's whole bill. You must have made a good impression." Emily just smiled and shrugged. They seemed like they needed a little extra kindness today, that's all. On her way out, Emily reached into her apron and found Lily's drawing again. She looked at the cheerful sun, the flowers, and the smiling stick figure that was supposed to be her. It made her heart feel lighter. Maybe one day she would see Tom and Lily again, but even if she didn't, she was glad she could help them, even for just a little while. As she walked home in the rain, groceries in hand, Emily wondered what life was really like for people like Tom. She guessed that even rich or important people could feel lost sometimes. In her heart, she hoped that Tom and Lily found what they needed at the hospital, and that tomorrow would be a little easier for all of them. That night, as she put away the groceries and hugged her mom, Emily told her about the father and daughter at the cafe, leaving out the part about Tom being a CEO. She just said, "I met a man today who looked so tired, but his little girl was so sweet. I hope they're okay." Her mom smiled and hugged her tighter, proud of Emily for always caring, even for strangers. Emily went to bed with Lily's drawing by her pillow, feeling tired but happy. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she promised herself she would always do her best to be kind, no matter who walked into her life. Sometimes, she thought, even a small act of kindness could be a bright light on a rainy day. The next morning at the Sunbeam Cafe, Emily arrived early, just as the sky was turning from gray to a gentle blue. She wiped down the tables, humming softly, and thought about the day before. She wondered if Tom and Lily had made it home safely. She hoped Lily's hospital visit had gone well. Emily always cared a little extra for people she barely knew, especially when they seemed lost or in need of kindness. The breakfast rush began slowly. Black. Old Mr. Cooper came in for his usual black. Coffee and apple pie. A young couple sat by the window sharing a quiet conversation. Emily greeted everyone with her usual bright smile. But she couldn't help glancing at the door, or half hoping she might see Tom and Lily walk in again, as she poured coffee and delivered plates of eggs and toast. She overheard some customers talking about the news. "Did you hear about that famous CEO in town yesterday?" one woman said to her friend. "Apparently he was at the children's hospital, giving away thousands of dollars." Another person added, "And they say he's a single dad too. Must be hard, even with all that money." Emily's ears perked up. She remembered the article she'd seen on her phone last night. She thought of Tom's tired eyes and his worried expression. So different from the picture in the news where he was smiling for the cameras. She felt proud of herself for helping him when he was just another face in the crowd. Still, she didn't say anything to the gossiping customers. She wanted to keep her small connection with Tom and Lily just for herself. A little later, the cafe manager came over with a curious look. "Emily, about that big tip from yesterday. Do you know who that man was?" he asked quietly. Emily shook her head, pretending not to know more than anyone else. "Just a dad with a little girl. They seem to be having a hard day," she said simply. The manager nodded, but she could tell he wanted to know more. All morning, the other waitresses joked about the tip and wondered aloud about the mystery man. Some of them guessed he was a celebrity. Others said maybe he was just showing off. Emily smiled and listened, but she didn't add anything. She knew that Tom's generosity had come from a place of true gratitude, not a need to impress anyone. Around lunchtime, Emily scrolled through her phone during her break. The local news had posted another story about Tom, the CEO. This one included a photo of him holding Lily's hand as they left the hospital. The reporter wrote about how Tom's company donated medical equipment and how he was admired for working hard as a single parent. But Emily saw something in his face that the others missed, a hint of worry, maybe even loneliness. She wondered what it must be like to be recognized everywhere, to always have to smile for the camera, even when your heart felt heavy. After her break, Emily returned to her shift and found herself daydreaming. What if Tom and Lily really did come back to the cafe? Would she treat them any differently now that she knew who they were? She decided that she wouldn't. Tom had been kind and humble. Lily had been sweet and shy. That was what mattered. The afternoon was quiet, and Emily was wiping down a counter when the bell above the door jingled again. She turned around and almost dropped the plate she was holding. Tom and Lily were standing in the doorway, a little wet from the rain, but smiling this time. "Hello, Emily," Tom said, a tired but genuine smile on his face. "We were hoping to see you again." Emily felt her heart skip a beat. "Hi, it's good to see you both. Did you get to the hospital okay?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Lily nodded and showed Emily a sticker from the hospital shaped like a star. "It was a good visit," Tom added. "Thank you for your help yesterday." They sat at their old table, and Emily brought Lily a hot chocolate with extra whipped cream. She remembered how Lily's eyes had sparkled when she'd given her the coloring book the day before. So this time she brought her a set of new crayons. Lily began drawing right away. Tom looked at Emily with appreciation. "You really went above and beyond for us yesterday," he said. "People aren't always so patient." "I wanted to thank you in person," Emily blushed, brushing off the compliment. "I'm just glad you both are okay," she said. "Sometimes it's hard being in a new place, especially when you're worried." Tom nodded and looked out the window at the rain. Seemed more relaxed than before, but there was still a seriousness in his eyes. After a quiet moment, he surprised Emily by asking, "Can I ask you something? Why do you work here? You're so young, you could be doing anything." Emily thought for a moment before answering. She told Tom about her family, about her mom working 2 jobs and her little brother who needed looking after. She explained that she had put her college plans on hold to help at home. But she didn't mind because she wanted to make life easier for her family. "One day I'll go back to school," she said with a hopeful smile. "But for now, this is where I need to be." Tom listened carefully. He nodded, understanding more than Emily realized. I grew up with a single parent too, he admitted. Softly, my mom worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over our heads. It's not easy. Sometimes you just have to do what's right for your family. They talked for a while, sharing stories about growing up, about challenges and hopes. Lily showed Emily her new drawing. This time it was a picture of the 3 of them, standing together in the cafe with big smiles and colorful umbrellas as they talked. Emily's coworkers watched from a distance, whispering about the return of the rich dad and his little girl, but Emily just focused on Tom and Lily. To her, they were simply people in need of kindness, and she wanted to be someone they could trust. When Tom finished his coffee, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. He slid it across the table to Emily. If you ever need anything, he said, please call me. You've helped us more than you know. Emily looked at the card, surprised to see Tom's name and the logo of a huge company she'd heard about on the news. She looked up, unsure what to say. Thank you, she whispered. But I was just doing my job. Tom smiled kindly. Maybe, but you did it from the heart. That makes all the difference. Lily hugged Emily before they left, and Tom shook her hand, promising to visit again before they left town. Emily watched them go, feeling a warmth inside that stayed with her the rest of the day. Later, the cafe manager asked Emily if she'd gotten any more details about the mystery customer. Emily just smiled and said he's just a dad trying to do his best. That night, Emily told her mom about Tom's visit. She didn't mention his job or his money, just that she'd made 2 new friends who reminded her that everyone needs help sometimes, no matter who they are. Emily went to bed dreaming of better days for herself, her family, and her new friends. She realized that kindness could build invisible bridges between people from completely different worlds, and that sometimes even a small act of care could leave a mark that lasted forever. Emily couldn't stop thinking about Tom and Lily after their second visit to the cafe. Their return had surprised her, but what stayed in her mind even more was Tom's question about her dreams. She had told him about her family, about putting college on hold, but she hadn't expected him to listen so closely or to offer his help. The business card he left sat in her wallet. Almost unreal, a reminder that something extraordinary could happen even on an ordinary day. A few days passed. Life at the Sunbeam Cafe returned to its usual routine, morning regulars, busy lunches, and the after-school crowd looking for cookies and a quiet place to study. Emily worked hard, moving from table to table with practiced grace, but her thoughts wandered more than usual. Each time she opened her wallet to pay for groceries or bus fare, she saw Tom's card and wondered if she should call. She didn't want to seem greedy or like she wanted special treatment. She had always believed in working for what she had. A Friday afternoon, as the sky was just beginning to clear after another rainy spell, Emily's manager called her over. "Emily, there's someone here to see you," he said with a grin. Emily glanced at the door and felt her heart leap. Tom was standing just inside the cafe, Lily holding his hand, both looking a little nervous but smiling. Emily welcomed them with her usual warmth and found them a quiet table. "It's good to see you again," she said, pouring Tom a coffee without even asking. Lily grinned up at her and waved her latest drawing, a picture of the 3 of them standing under a big, shining sun. Tom seemed quieter than before, almost hesitant. After a moment of small talk, he cleared his throat and said, "Emily, I hope you don't mind, but I wanted to talk to you about something important." Lily wandered off to color at another table, giving the 2 adults a little privacy. Tom leaned in, his voice gentle. "I didn't tell you who I was because I didn't want anything to be different. I wanted to see how people treated us when we were just another family in town. You were the only person who took time to care, who made us feel welcome and safe. That means more to me than you can imagine." Okay. Emily felt herself blush. "Thank you, Tom, but I really was just doing my job. I try to treat everyone kindly." Tom nodded. "And that's exactly why I want to help you. You told me about your family and your dreams. Think you deserve a chance to follow them." He reached into his bag and handed her a folder. Inside was a letter offering to pay for Emily's college tuition, along with information about a part-time job at his company, one that would let her keep working while going to school. Emily stared at the letter, hardly believing it was real. She read it twice, then looked up at Tom with wide, uncertain eyes. "This is too much," she whispered. "I can't accept. I don't want to take something I haven't earned." Tom smiled kindly. "Emily, you've earned more than you know. You helped us when you didn't have to, and you did it from the heart. I know what it's like to work hard for everything. This isn't charity. This is me investing in someone who truly deserves a chance." Emily's hands shook a little as she folded the letter. "I don't even know what to say. Think it doesn't seem enough." Tom reached across the table, his voice steady. "You don't have to say anything right now. Talk to your family. Think about it. But I hope you'll accept. People like you make the world better, Emily. Sometimes. The people who help others the most are the ones who need help themselves." Lily returned to the table, holding up her drawing proudly. "Look, it's us at the park." Emily smiled and praised Lily's art, but her mind was spinning. She promised Tom she would think about his offer. After they left, she tucked the letter into her bag and finished her shift, moving on autopilot as she poured coffee and wiped down tables. That night at home, Emily sat with her mom and brother at the kitchen table. She showed her mom the letter and explained everything. Her mom listened, pride and concern mixing on her face. "Emily, you have always given so much to others," her mom said, squeezing her hand. "You deserve this. You've worked hard for us, and maybe now it's time to let someone help you too." Her brother, always quick with a joke, grinned and said, "Does this mean you'll be the boss of a big company soon?" Emily laughed, but her eyes filled with tears. She realized how much she wanted to go back to school and how much she missed having time for her own dreams. The next morning, Emily called Tom, her voice shaking a little. "Tom, I've thought about your offer. I want to say yes. Thank you, truly. I'll work hard and do my best, I promise." Tom sounded genuinely happy. "It's all I ask, Emily. You're going to do great things. Welcome to the team." Word spread quickly at the cafe that Emily would be leaving soon. The other waitresses hugged her, the regulars left cards and small gifts, and even the grumpy old cook told her he'd miss her smile. Emily promised to visit, but she knew her life was about to change in a way she'd never imagined. Emily started her new part-time job at Tom's company, just as her college classes began. The office was big and busy, with people in suits and lots of phones ringing. Emily felt out of place at first, but she remembered Tom's words and tried her best each day. Tom introduced her to everyone, telling them proudly how he met her at the cafe and how much he respected her kindness and work ethic. Even with the new challenges, Emily found herself enjoying the work. She helped with community outreach projects, organized charity events, and learned how a big company ran from the inside. She also spent time with Lily, sometimes picking her up from school or helping her with homework when Tom had meetings. Emily never forgot the Sunbeam Cafe. Sometimes she'd stop by for coffee or to say hello to the new waitresses. The place felt different now, but the memory stayed warm in her heart. She kept Lily's drawings and Tom's first business card on her desk as reminders of how one small act of kindness had changed her life. As the weeks passed, Emily grew more confident. Her classes went well, her work was rewarding, and she made new friends. Tom and Lily became like family to her. She still had hard days. Everyone does, but she knew now that sometimes help could come from the most unexpected places. One evening, Tom invited Emily and her family over for dinner. The house was bright and full of laughter, with Lily showing off her latest art and Tom telling stories about his travels. Emily's mom looked around at the warmth and kindness in the room, tears shining in her eyes. She hugged Emily tightly and whispered, "You brought all of this into our lives with your kindness." Emily realized it was true. Her simple act of caring for a lost dad and his daughter had started a chain of good things she could never have predicted. She felt grateful not just for the opportunities she'd been given, but for the new friendships and the hope that had grown in her heart. Sometimes, she thought, a rainy morning and a small act of kindness could change more than just one life. It could change many, like ripples spreading out in a pond, each touch making the world a little warmer, a little brighter. Emily promised herself she would keep spreading kindness wherever she went, no matter how her life changed. Emily's new life moved quickly. Each morning, she woke up early, excited to see what the day would bring. She started her days by reviewing her college assignments, often with a cup of coffee, just like she used to serve at the Sunbeam Cafe. She would then get ready for her part-time job at Tom's company, which was full of new faces, new challenges, and the promise of something good around every corner. Tom made sure Emily felt welcome from the very beginning. He often checked in on her, giving advice when she needed it, but also trusting her to learn and grow on her own. Emily felt nervous at first. She had never worked in a big company before, but she remembered how she handled tough days at the cafe and reminded herself that kindness, hard work, and a genuine smile could open any door. At work, Emily learned about teamwork and responsibility. She found herself in meetings where people brainstormed ideas to help the community, like fundraisers for the Children's Hospital or programs for students who needed scholarships. Tom encouraged Emily to share her own ideas, and soon she was leading small projects. She never imagined she could do something so important, but Tom and her new colleagues believed in her. That belief made all the difference. Her favorite part of the job, though, was spending time with Lily. On days when Tom was busy, Emily would pick up Lily from school and take her to the park. They played on the swings, fed the ducks, and talked about art, school, and dreams for the future. Lily grew to adore Emily, and their bond became almost like that of sisters. Sometimes they would bake cookies together and laugh about the time Lily drew a picture of Emily with extra big hair. Emily's family saw the change in her too. Wow. Her mom didn't worry so much about paying bills, and her brother became more confident at school, inspired by Emily's example. Emily's happiness seemed to fill their small apartment, making it a place of hope and laughter again. One weekend, Tom invited Emily, her mother, and her brother to a celebration at his house. He had reached an important milestone at his company, and he wanted to thank everyone who had helped along the way. The party was full of Tom's friends, business partners, and their families. There were games for the kids, music playing softly, and tables covered in delicious food. But the best part for Emily was seeing her family and Tom's family together, sharing stories and laughter as if they had always known each other. During the party, Tom stood up to say a few words. He thanked his team, his daughter, and then he looked at Emily. "There are moments in life," Tom said, his voice warm, "when someone does something so simple, yet it changes everything." Emily's kindness on a rainy day showed me the true value of caring for others. She reminded me that we're all just people, trying to do our best. Sometimes all someone needs is a little help and a lot of heart. Emily felt her cheeks grow warm as everyone clapped. She was a little embarrassed, but also proud. She had never wanted attention. She just wanted to help. But in that moment, she realized that one small act of kindness could ripple out, touching many lives. The months went by, and Emily continued to study hard. She earned good grades and even started tutoring other students who needed extra help. Inspired by Tom's generosity and her own experience, Emily began organizing a small scholarship fund for young people who wanted to go to college but didn't have the money. She remembered what it felt like to put her dreams aside for her family, and she wanted to give others a chance to chase their dreams too. Tom supported her new project, and soon others joined in. The company matched donations, and some of the cafe's regulars even contributed, remembering the cheerful waitress who always made their mornings brighter. Emily never forgot where she came from, and she always took time to visit the Sunbeam Cafe, sharing coffee and stories with the people who had been part of her journey from the start. Sometimes Emily and Lily would go to the cafe together. Lily loved seeing the place where Emily used to work, and she often drew pictures for the staff. The manager always welcomed them with open arms and a smile, proud of Emily for everything she had achieved. As time passed, Tom's company grew stronger. Partly because of the kindness and community spirit Emily helped bring into the workplace. People worked together better, supported each other, and even started volunteering at local shelters and schools. Emily's simple way of seeing the good in people inspired others to do the same. One year after that rainy morning at the cafe, Tom invited Emily and her family to another celebration. This time, It was to honor the success of the scholarship fund and the company's growing outreach work. Emily's mother cried happy tears, hugging Emily and telling her how proud she was. "You changed all our lives, Emily, and you did it just by being yourself." Emily stood on the stage, a little nervous. But she looked out at the crowd and saw so many familiar, friendly faces: Tom and Lily, her mom and brother, her friends from college, and even a few regulars from the cafe. She spoke softly, but confidently, sharing her story and reminding everyone that small acts of kindness matter. "You never know whose life you might touch, or how far a little help can go," she said. "Sometimes one small moment can lead to big changes for all of us." After her speech, Lily ran up and hugged Emily, handing her a new drawing. It showed Emily, Tom, and Lily standing under a bright sun, with flowers and smiling faces all around. Emily promised she would always keep it close as a reminder of where her journey began. Years went by, but the memory of that first meeting in the Sunbeam Cafe never faded for Emily, or for Tom and Lily. They remained close friends, supporting each other through all of life's ups and downs. Emily finished college, found a job she loved, and continued to help others in any way she could. Tom's company became known for its kindness, and Lily grew up into a confident, caring young woman. Emily often thought about how different her life would be if she hadn't helped a tired father and his little girl on that rainy day. She knew that sometimes the smallest things, a smile, a warm meal, a helping hand, could change the course of a life. She was grateful for the opportunities she had been given, and she never stopped looking for ways to give back. At the end of every busy week, Emily liked to return to the cafe, sit by the window, and watch the world go by. She would sip her coffee, look at Lily's latest drawing, and feel thankful for all the twists and turns that had brought her to this place. She knew that kindness once given never truly disappeared. It grew and spread, making the world just a little brighter, one heart at a time. And so, Emily's story, like so many real stories, was proof that even on the cloudiest day, a little warmth and caring could lead to something beautiful, lasting far longer than anyone could imagine.